What's up, party people? It's Keys Dan with RadioWhat.com, DJLittleRock.com, coming to you live and in living color from the Radio What studios. And this is my podcast, What Makes You Famous. It's an extension of the RadioWhat.com internet radio station that I've been running for quite some time. And if you need DJ services, where do you go? DJLittleRock.com. Let me say that one more time. DJLittleRock.com. Check availability and get a free price quote. And maybe you can have me at your next event. I like to party with the people. So exciting. Speaking of so exciting, today on the program, I have Emily Glazener. Who's Emily Glazener? Who is that? Well, you're going to find out in the next few minutes. Here's a little hint. Red Iris. There. That's all I'm going to say for right now. This week's shows, it's as I'm recording on Friday night, I do have a public show. We're breaking out of this coronavirus quarantine. So I do have a public show on Friday night, 8 p.m. at the Rab in Conway, Arkansas. You know the Rab, your favorite place to be. Yeah, I said it, your favorite place to be. You better get out to the Rab. Now, there's limited capacity. We are taking precautions and trying to keep in mind all the people out there that are suffering with the COVID-19. But for the most part, you know, if you're strong, if you're healthy, come on out and play with us over at the Rab. They got the full bar. The kitchen is open. The pool tournament just started back up last Friday night, and that went very well. I was very excited to see all the pool players back. And you know me on this side. I have the video dance party, karaoke jam. I keep saying video dance party. I guess I have to cut it down to just video party, karaoke jam, because we're trying to keep the dance floor a little emptier because you have this stage and people are singing and they could send droplets out and it could have some kind of disease on it. So, you know what I'm thinking? Maybe the germaphobes had it right. They had it right all along. All right, just take precautions, take care of yourself. I'll have the wipes with, next to me on the table, and then there'll be some hand sanitizer. Wash your hands. You know, you should have been doing that anyway. Washing your hands. Wash your body. Make sure that you wash all the grime of the day away. Do you take showers in the morning or in the night? I want to know. Do you take showers in the morning to wake up, or do you take it at night to wash all the germs from the day off? I'm a nighttime guy. You know, after a long day of work, I want to wash all that grime right off my body. Yeah, and I've been washing my hands since before it was cool. Okay, so do that. Take care of yourself for sure. All right, now that I've giving you the sermon and the place to be on Friday night, 8 p.m. until 1 a.m., the Rab in Conway, Arkansas. Now it's time to talk to Emily Glazener. Yeah, let's do it. Let's Skype Emily Glazener now.
Is that good?
That is good. Look at that beautiful face. All right. Emily Glazener. Did I pronounce that correctly?
You did. I just found out like Glazener was like a glass maker. I thought that was great. That's like the Glaziers, and I was like, "Oh, okay." Isn't that my maiden name is Faust? Okay, so that's German, as in it's fist. All and then there was something called like there was some type of actual bomb that was like the Faust something, and that's interesting because it came in like a fist. I was like, "Oh, that's kind of cool." Glazier, which is a glass maker, is not.
Okay, Emily cool. Glazener, are you still holding your phone?
I am still holding my phone.
Put it
Is that okay?
down. It's wiggling.
I don't know where to put it.
It's wiggling.
It's wiggling. Oh, well, maybe here. Oh, does that work?
Look how steady that is. That looks wonderful. And now we can start the show. What's up, Emily Glazener? It's Keys Dan with the What Makes You Famous podcast. How is your day?
My day is actually pretty fabulous.
Well, tell me about it. Tell me all about it.
Tell about my day. I got up and I found out there were some more radio stations that were spinning our records. That's really great. I know we're getting a lot closer to the end game and our new EP coming up, so that's really fabulous. So just exciting,
It is very exciting. Now, who are you snapping at back there? Now, for those that are listening to the audio portion.
I could hear my child try to get in. That's why I put the pack of records in front of the door.
Wait, actual records? Wait, let's, Grandma, what's a record? What is a record?
No. My children know what records are. Come on, I'm a musician.
I see that, but okay. So, all right, let's start. Let's find some place to start. What is in your record collection right now, Emily Glazener?
I'm a really, really big fan of Elton John. So I think almost all of his records are in my record collection right now. Plus some really neat ones. I've got a couple of bootlegs. I've got Abbey Road.
What's a bootleg?
You know what a bootleg is.
No, you got to explain it for the kids out there.
All right, for the kids out there. It's where they make a record of something that's never been released by an actual real record company. It's normally not very good quality, as in the one I have. I believe it's called Elton John Apple Pie, which is kind of but it's really neat because it was like in 72, and it's a recording. I think it doesn't even have the guitar player in it. And it's pretty cool. It's in a live recording, and I've heard it like twice. But then I'm like, I don't ever want to spin it again.
Oh, but were you able to digitize it at all? Put it on an MP3?
No, I don't know how to do any of that. I'm more old fashioned. It's like I just got my very first Apple phone because I wanted to do a Zoom a quiz show that took place in England. And so I was like, oh, I have to have an iPad. People are like, that's not a reason to have an iPad. I was like, yes, it is.
All right. Emily Glazener, where are you located at right now?
Baytown, Texas.
Born and raised?
No, I was actually born in Mississippi, Natchez, Mississippi. But I've lived in Baytown since I was about 12.
All right. Well, let's back up a little bit. Let's give the blurb. Mm-hmm. If you were looking at your Wikipedia page, give the people an idea of who you are, Emily Glazener.
I am a musician. I was born in Natchez, Mississippi. I moved to Texas as soon as I could get there, which is when my parents and the oil company said we had to move. I've got kids. I am passionate about human rights and music.
Interesting time that we're living in right now, and I'm sure we'll get to current events. If you, I want to get your views on everything. Of course, we're going to talk about music, but I want to get your views since you mentioned human rights. We're living in a time right now. And you're in Texas. How is it presenting in Texas? And what do you think about all this that's going on?
Well, I can tell you this is not necessarily a Red Iris view. This is my view. I am all for people being exactly who they are, and not too many. But being in Texas, it's actually right down the middle. You can sit in a bar, and you can sit right at the bar, and well, not right now, but like other places. Other times, and the person to the left of you can have views of more bigotry views, and the person to the right of you has just as open views as they can be. It's a very mixed place at the moment, actually.
What city in Texas are you in?
I live in Baytown, which is right outside of Houston.
Right outside of Houston. Now, I've heard things about Austin, where that would be the island of lefties in a state full of righties. Is that proper? Have you been to Austin?
I've heard that, and I don't necessarily think that's true. I really think every bit of Houston and every bit of Austin, every bit of Dallas, everybody's got, I really think Texas is pretty split down the middle.
I could see that. I've done some parties in Houston. I was doing singles parties back in, I guess it was 95. I did a tour all over the U.S., and I went out the 10, and I had stops all the way across, all the way until I got to the 8 to San Diego. But I stopped in Houston, and I had a great time. I did 3 parties, a Friday, a Saturday, and a Sunday afternoon pool party. And I thought the people were wonderful, and it was different people coming in, for the singles event. And it seemed very diverse to me. I do like Texas. It's a big state. It's a state that's on its own. I mean, I know that Texas can break off from the union very easily because even just the power grid, I've heard East, West, and Texas. That's the power grid. And, so what's it like living in the state of Texas in that respect? I mean,
I think it's very much that. I mean, we have our own views on everything. And, I know that lots of people, whenever they go other countries or they go wherever, they're like, I'm from Texas, and you're proud to say I'm from Texas. Like I said, I did a quiz show last week, and I said I'm from Texas, and that's cool. I like being able to say that.
It does have its own flavor, its own religion, its own views, its own state of
Mm-hmm.
mind. People think, oh, I'm from New York. And yes, that has a region on its own. And me personally, I'm from Miami, the Florida Keys. And I was very happy to be from there with all the blue, the ocean. But in Texas, it took me what, 6 hours to drive across it if I went all the way across 10. And in each part of that drive, there was desert, there was farm, there was big city, there's everything in Texas. And I do want you to take a portion of this podcast and make it for the bureau, the tourism of Texas, the Bureau of Tourism Texas, according to Emily Glazener.
Well, I can tell you that
And you have a
there
whittle
are
dog.
plenty of things to see.
You have a whittle dog out back. I'm hearing.
I do. It's not out back. I'm sorry. Yeah, that's in the living room. That's my kid's dog.
Oh, it's your
It's a
kid's
small
dog.
place.
It's not your
We got
dog.
no carpet. The sound has got to travel.
What kind of
But I
dog
mean,
is
there's
it?
amazing things. We call it a Chiweenie because but she looks like a luck dragon. Like from the Neverending Story, because she's a long-haired Chihuahua and mixed with a Dachshund, and she's like 1.5. She's smart. That's because she's a Chiweenie. She's a big mix of them all.
And little dogs are the ones you got to worry about. Those are the ones that people don't take the time to train. Big dogs, people will go sit, stay, roll over. But little dogs, it seems like, oh, it's just a little dog. You won't hurt anybody. But they will bite your ankles. They will. They'll bite your ankles.
Yeah. She's not too bad about that. But I know other people who have dogs, and the moment I walk into certain houses, but they're sweet when they do it. But they do that.
All right. Now, you did mention earlier that your views are very separate from Red Iris. Now, for the people that don't know, what is a Red Iris?
Oh, Red Iris is my band. It's an original band. We're out of Houston. We've got drummer, guitar player, keyboard player / rhythm and bass, and then me. I am the vocalist.
Well, I like to give credit where credit is due. So, as the vocalist, as the front person, call out the band. Who are the members of the band?
So our drummer is JJ. JJ Hera. We have Zeke Hernandez as our lead guitarist. We have Oscar Gonzalez, because I call him OG, so I had to think about it. Oscar Gonzalez as our thump and bass player, and with the fabulous Brock Wilson, who does keyboards and rhythm guitar. He's actually mixing our upcoming EP and singles, and he really is just pretty fabulous with that. It was great having that built in.
Now, is that the lineup
built into the band?
Is that the lineup that Red Iris has always had? And how long has Red Iris been a
band? We've been around since playing live since 2017.
2017.
It's about 3 years.
Yes.
Yeah. We got together in 2016 just to see what but the band really began to gel in 2017.
Well, I do want to find out, how does a Red Iris find each other? Are you all seasoned musicians that came from other bands, or
yes.
came out of school, or how did you all come together in 2016, start practicing, and then find yourself good enough? I think we're good enough to get out there and do something. So in 2016, how did Red Iris form?
Well, we are all seasoned musicians, and the band had been together. I believe it was the rhythm guitarist and keyboard player. He had some really great songs that they were starting, and they had kind of put a band together, and they were looking for a singer. And I just happened to know some other members of the band, and the drummer said, "Hey, over and jam with us," which was kind of like, I guess, like to see if I fit. And we actually started, working on the music that Brock and his wife had started writing, his wife Michelle. And I put my own spin on it, and we started writing and playing an original song right then and there. And it was like, okay, I think this is going to work. And it really has, because we all have completely different ideals of things and influences. And we have some that are the same, of course, because we gel together. And then we have some that are completely different.
So, Emily Glazener, since you know yourself the best, how did you start in this journey, music-wise? And I'm guessing maybe it started, where were you born again?
I was born in Mississippi.
Mississippi. What part of Mississippi? What city?
Natchez. Natchez.
Sounds like the tiniest, teeniest, tiny town.
It's not. It's not. It's actually got some great. I love being from Natchez. It's got some history, and then it's got some wonderful history. But just being from a historic place like that is pretty fabulous. It's beautiful, and yeah, I love being from there. I love having that soulful, from something soulful and old. And like I said, it's got all kinds of history. You got history that you shake your head at, and it's got history that's really beautiful. So but I used to sing along with the radio all the time. And when I was 15, I wanted to learn how to play the piano. And my parents were like, no, we have a guitar. If you can learn how to play this, then you can get guitar lessons. And so I did. And here I am.
Okay. Now, growing up in the town of Natchez, Mississippi, a small, not so small town, just sounds small to me. But you grew up in the South, and yes, any city in the South that was part of the Union during the Civil War has its mixed history. Its struggles.
Oh, it wasn't a part of the Union. It was definitely a part of the Confederacy.
The Confederacy. I'm sorry. During the Civil War.
By the time, well, that's okay. Because I just think that you'll get a lot of people going, no, we're not from there. We were the Confederates, which that's what I mean is your mixed history that, you're very proud of. And you're like, oh, I wish those things didn't happen, but they did. And, the only way you can learn is to move forward and be positive.
Well, a young Emily, and I know that racism is taught. It's all taught. I didn't know black or white until 6th grade when somebody said, oh, that guy over there, he's different than us. He is? Wow. Okay. I didn't know that. I went to Catholic school until 6th grade in Miami, Florida, where it's very diverse, very melting pots, lots of different people. I'm half Cuban myself and half Irish, so I'm a melting pot, in itself. And I know Spanish, and I'm able to converse with different types of people. But growing up in Natchez, you're listening to music. How are you developing as a young Emily? Growing up, I guess it was Faust, is what you said.
Yes, Emily Faust. That's right. Well, I have 2 older brothers that are 4 and 6 years older than me. I've got a younger brother as well. But I would hear their rock music, because I had to tag along with them, poor things. And then, my mother, she was really, really into R&B and soul. I can remember listening to Michael Jackson Thriller for the first time. So I would have been like 3 or 4 then, and just, wow, that's amazing. But then, my dad, who brought in Roy Orbison and George Strait and just all kinds of Merle Haggard. Like, he'll come to one of my gigs, doesn't matter where we are, and he goes, can you play me some Merle? I'm like, Dad, I can't play any Merle.
Well, that sounds like a well-rounded. But it's just one of those things that he does. Yeah, it sounds like a very well-rounded musical education. You take a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and it starts to form who you are musically. So, yeah, between Michael Jackson, Merle Haggard, and the rock music that your older brother was bringing. You have a lot to choose from to make you who you are. So what was okay, you had older brothers. Were they very protective of you? How was your relationship with them?
Always. I have 2. They were also, get away from me, kid. You bother me. But like, no. She's my sister. Don't mess with her. That whole great thing. And then I actually have a little brother, so I got to do the same thing. And then when we got to be teenagers, and I'm grown, he took over that role too. He's like, no, that's my sister. I'm like, that you're my little brother. But he's like 6'4", so I love being the only girl with all the boys. I actually have 3 boys myself, so I was like, I was just made to be this.
All right. Well, I mean, that you're an island of estrogen in a sea of testosterone.
So, absolutely. Even like with the band and everything, I think that I'm the flower. I am the iris.
Oh, okay. I mean, what was your relationship with your parents? I mean, what did you learn from them? Because that's the first experience that you had growing up. But what did you learn from mom, and what did you learn from dad?
From both of my parents, I learned good values. I learned, not judging people. I learned do the right thing. If you don't want the golden rule has always been really big at my house. If you don't want somebody to do something to you, you don't do that to them. Being fair and being honest and that kind of thing. And that's in the South, and that could be rolled into the Bible, or it could be anywhere else. But growing up is just do the right thing.
So,
You
okay,
know,
were you very taught in biblical ways, or how was that growing up?
and yeah, I was for the first part of my life. I was Church of Christ, um, which is uh, I haven't been Church of Christ in a while. It's a my parents were. It's being a musician. It's just a little bit different. I have nothing against people from Church of Christ. Also, at one time, I went to a Baptist church as well. Southern Baptist, where you got that great choir in there, which is that moves you.
So that's the difference.
Hymns move
There's
you.
in Church of Christ. There's no music then.
There's playing music. It's just voices. You don't play any instruments.
Okay.
So
yeah, I went to Catholic school, so everything was piped in.
Dance.
Everything was piped in. So we had our. It was a lot of call and answer. I remember in Catholic school was body of Christ. Yes, the body of Christ. Yes. We give it up to the Lord. Yes, He's wonderful. It was a lot of stand, sit, kneel, stand, sit, kneel, stand, sit, kneel.
Yeah.
So but I grew up out of that as well, and it's funny how those things shape us as we grow up. And I guess the Bible is a good book of instructions, whether you believe in one thing or another. It gives you a good moral code, I suppose, as you're growing up. And I've since left all that behind. I wish I had faith. I wish I had the faith that I had when I was younger. But
I truly like the idea of do unto others as you'd have them do unto you. I mean, that could be in everything,
unless you're a psychopath, and you want to do bad, masochist, and you want to do bad things.
But a psychopath wouldn't want somebody to murder them. So, it works all the way around. You don't want them to murder you. You don't murder them. Okay. You don't want them to steal your stuff. Don't steal their stuff,
No, I like the way you think. I like where we're heading, Emily. I'm getting your views on things, and that's what I want. I enjoy these conversations because I get to pick people's brains, and right now I'm picking your brain, Emily Glazener. And yes, we'll touch on music because that's primarily what we're here about. Yes, you have a band called Red Iris. Everybody go listen to that band. Okay, continuing on with the life and times of Emily Glazener. I want to know more about you as you're growing up. What are you studying in school, and how are your relationships with the kids in school?
You know what? I had a select few friends. I was always different. I was never the girl who'd go and be super, super girly, although I can be girly, as you see my nails. That wasn't the most important thing. I liked running, jumping, and climbing trees, and playing tag and sports and having brothers. Some people have girls and sisters. Oh, does this look cute? No, I didn't really like that. They're like, oh, I really like those Converse. That was me. I have the friends that I had in high school, I still have now, which is really great. The friends I have in college, I still have now. I think for me, my life started after high school. I graduated early from high school just to get past all the, that part of it. But I enjoyed school in the sense of I love history. I really like literature, like quite a bit. Those things were fun. Now, math and science, I'm like, once you put a letter in with math, I'm like, you lost me. I don't know. I don't know what it is. They're like, well, A represents 6 and B represents 2. What's this? And I was like, I don't even care. You said A and B and it's math and it's not supposed to. It's supposed to be numbers, so I'm lost. Yeah. That's like,
well, some people's brains work that way. Yeah, some people's, and I give it up to the people that know math and are scientists. And please go save the world. You be that person.
I'm just not that person.
Cure every disease and make us all live forever. That's wonderful. But for the other few of us that are creators and people that enjoy that side of it, school. I've been to school a bunch of times. Mostly for different certificates that I wanted, radio broadcasting and learning how to psychology and learning a little bit about sociology and stuff like that. But, what's your school life like? And you alluded that high school, you want to just get out of there. So you weren't part of any cliques back in high school?
I wasn't part of any cliques back in high school, no. I was the weird girl that liked Elton John, and think about that. So this would have been like but she's super popular now, which doesn't make me mad. But I think I go in the store and I see a T-shirt and I'm like, do you know I would have loved to have found that T-shirt when I was like 15 and 16, but I couldn't. And I do love that, because Rocket Man was a fabulous movie. But you see what I'm saying? You're like, really? And then nobody looks at you weird for it, which is a wonderful, amazing thing that we have traveled so far. But man, oh my God, they would lay into me terribly. But I didn't care. I was like, I'm very strong. I'm like, you don't like it. I don't care that you like it. I really, really like it. And because I was such a big fan, I learned how to play keyboards, not very well, but I did. That's where I started playing guitar. That's what I did in high school. I started to play guitar. Now, I'm not the greatest. I can't make it sing or whatever. I love John Mellencamp goes, I just want to know enough chords to be able to write a song and sing it, because I don't want to make it cry and do all that other stuff. And I thought, that's me. That's exactly how I am. And that's what I did. I took lessons and for like a year, and then I took off from there, and I could play all kinds of things. So I would, I was the person at the coffee shop. Literally in high school, I worked at coffee shops, and I would play, and people would come along and pay me, and the coffee shop would pay me. I worked in a restaurant my senior year for about 8 months, and I worked from Tuesday to Saturday. I played every single night, and I got paid with a paycheck to go play. I thought that was the greatest thing in the world. Like, this is fabulous.
No, that's very enterprising, Emily, that to go and play at such a young age. Now, I'm guessing you're 16, 17 years old, maybe?
Mm-hmm.
And you started playing guitar?
Right there.
And how long after you started playing guitar and got these lessons, and you say the lessons lasted about maybe a year or so?
A year. So I started taking the lessons right when I turned 15, right before I turned 15. And I would pick the hardest songs. I had this great teacher. His name is Kevin Harden. He's amazing, because I would come in and I would say, I want to learn this song. And he had such an ear. He would listen to the song. Well, poor man, because my songs were like Elton John songs. So I was like, I want to learn how to play Tiny Dancer. And I went, da-da-da-da-da. He would take it and he'd write it out and show me how to count it. And it was fabulous. That's where I learned bar chords. The first song I ever learned how to play all the way through was Your Song by Elton John. We put it in C. I remember that. And he broke it down for me, and I freaked him out because I came back the next week. This is, I think, my second lesson. I came back the next week, and I could play it, and I could sing it. And he's like, oh, you can sing. So halfway through the lessons, there was something in town that they did at the college here, and they called it the Baytown Opry. And so that was the very first time I got in front of a big stage, and was singing with the band behind me. I was 15 years old, and I sang Blue Bayou. I remember that really well.
And this is in Mississippi.
And that was great. No, this is in Texas.
Oh, okay, so by that time,
Texas.
So you left Mississippi at a way younger
I left
age.
at 9.
At 9. What was the transition there? You alluded to that your parents were in the oil business, maybe?
My dad worked for an oil company, and so they moved us from Mississippi to Texas.
Okay, just following where the oil is, I guess.
And that's exactly what it was. Yeah,
he was a roughneck, I guess, or worked hard work. Or?
No, he worked on the wells. So little. I don't know what you would call it, which is terrible. I just remember going with them, and when they would, the when you're driving along in Texas or any southern state, and you go by and you see it looks like a rocking horse, but I think it's the pumps, the rigs, going up and down. I can remember he used to work on those. I remember that, and he would check them. All of my uncles do the same thing, which is great. Even on my mother's side, they even all work for the same company now.
Well, that tells me a lot
Except for
about
my dad. He moved on.
It tells me a lot about your dad. That because that work is hard work. It's dangerous work. For a kid, for a younger man, it's good work because a young man who doesn't have anybody that's tying him down can work for weeks on end, make a good chunk of money, store that up, and then by the time he's ready to have a family, he'll have something set aside. But it's hard on your body. I've seen some of these kids. By the time they're 30, they look 50. So
it is absolute very hard work. Like I said, everybody in my family, like all of my uncles, my uncles on my mom's side and my uncles on my dad's side, they all work for in the oil industry. And I can remember, you remember the smell of things. You remember how, as a kid, there's a certain smell that each one of those trucks has, and it's not a bad smell. It's just like dirt and oil. And you know what crude oil smells like. I can remember when it was take your daughter to work day. Was where we would go, and have those big boots on, and you walk out there and just look at all the stuff that he was doing, and it's pretty great. So yeah, I think it's great because you see a different side of it. When other people are complaining and they're saying the gas prices are so high, yeah, that may be, but um, when you work in the oil field, you don't really make all that much money, and it's hard work. And so whenever the gas prices are high, I never complain about it because I know that means my family's making money. And I'm not saying they're being rich; they're being able to put food on the table. They're being able to, and not just my family, but other people like that. I mean, especially places like Mississippi and other places in Texas, and I'm sure in Arkansas, and even places up the north. I mean, that if you look at it in a different kind of way, I choose not to see things as black and white. It's more of cream and gray. Because that way, whether you see black and I see white, well, then we're going to clash. But if I see cream, I can kind of see your idea. And if you see white and I see black, same thing. So if I see something gray, I can see where you're coming from. My goal is to be able to see where you're coming from.
Well, it's good. You're able to have a genuine conversation with people. You're able to find, I see you, I hear you, I hear that view. Why that view?
Mm-hmm.
And then here, the oil business itself is very polarizing. People on both sides of the fence on that one. Oh, we need to get rid of fossil fuels and get more reusable fuels. But your family being in the oil business, you might be more biased to where, hey, that's my bread and butter. That's where I make my living. That's how I feed my family, is with that oil business. And where do you fall on that with the way that it treats the land? But is there, I guess you have to, you'd probably be more biased towards your family, but I don't want to put words in your head.
Well, no, it's not that. I truly believe there are ways that we can go about doing things in a more clean manner. There are ways that we can go about not destroying things. I like the idea of clean energy, and if you could incorporate them. But I also understand when you do that, that also takes away from the people who do. But if you would put the time and money into one, and some people just don't want to do that, but learning, and even if you take baby steps, even if it's baby steps, it's steps in a positive way. Now, wiping it out, you just can't wipe it out completely. I know people want to do that, but you can't. But if you could be somebody over that, I want to feed my family, but I understand what you're saying. And what if I tried to do this in a more clean way? What if I tried to use this tool instead of this tool, or this thing instead of that? Those steps that you make, those are things that are going to change the world.
It's very perplexing. Well, I'd love to have clean energy, but I don't see where we can have it. I have two gas cars. I don't run on electricity. I'd love to have one of these Teslas that have batteries and they run for 300 miles or so, and then you go recharge them again. But I can't afford a Tesla. I have this gas guzzling car, so I'm biased as well. But
that would be the argument on the other side. So if you want everybody to use this clean product, then you need to make it more affordable and more user friendly. If you want this tug from here, then you've got to give here.
Yeah,
that's what I mean. And it's the companies being willing to do things like that.
All right, and you say they're all still in the oil business, but your dad got out. What did he end up doing after?
He ended up working for another plant, and he's actually went in to work for a plant. He went to college to do something that he really wanted to do, and in environmental, and ended up learning quite a bit, and then working for a plant, and that was really great. And he retired from there. And he's just really, really brilliant man, actually. I'm like, he can do math like I can't do math. He gave me love of history and literature, but the math, no, I didn't get any of that.
Well, yay, Dad.
But yeah, he was a really brilliant man.
And then what did your mom do as you were growing up?
My mom stayed at home for quite a bit, and she raised us, and then she decided she wanted to do something for herself, and she became a hairdresser, and she's Very, very good at it. And she's been a hairdresser for over 20 years. And I have so much respect for her seeing her life and looking at everything and say, I want to do something that's me. And then I bring the value. And I think that's really amazing. And she still does it. She owned a salon for the longest time. I mean, like 17 years plus, and then downsizing now, doing it, in a different way. Like I go there, I'll take care of it, and I go home, and I don't have to worry about all the other stuff that comes with owning your own business. But yeah, I think I learned a lot of really powerful things from her as well.
Well, I give it up to her for staying home and taking care of the kids. That's family values. That's what you got from her. And that, hey, hardest job in the whole wide world. And
it is. A lot of people don't know exactly how hard it is, but it absolutely is.
Oh my goodness, homemaker is the hardest job. I wouldn't want to trade and have that job. I keep my wife at home, and she enjoys it. But I often ask her, do you have the need? Do you want to go and get a job out there? But no, she homeschools my 14-year-old, and she says, I wouldn't trade it for anything. I would not trade it for anything.
I believe she's an amazing woman, and let me tell you why. Because of COVID, I have had to teach my children, and it is not easy. So, like, I have 18, 11, and 7, and it would be me and a 7-year-old going, like, I don't know, wait. And I'd be like, to my 18-year-old, come do this. Like, I don't understand what they're asking me to do. Like, it's just, no, wait. And they're like, oh no, not the camera. All the little things that you have to do. And so that's amazing. And I give it up to the people who are teaching their kids at home and to our teachers. They need to make so much more money than they do because we are not teachers. I'm not. I know that I'm not a teacher, and I'm okay with that.
Well, and she's admittedly not the smartest person in the whole wide world, but she has the teaching books, and she's made a goal to teach her for as long as she wants to. The 14-year-old, she says, every year we ask her, hey, do you want to go to public school? No, I'm enjoying myself.
No, she's got a thing. That's great.
She's all and she's all the better for it. And I do not mind any kids in the background. That little snap reminds me of my mama.
Yeah,
you are a great mama.
That snap works really well because I could be in the car and I go, that means don't say anything else. And that's a great way for me to say, hey, don't come through here without me yelling. The snap keeps me. I can yell. The snap keeps me from yelling.
Oh,
so that they would have absolutely barged in, but that's why I put the thing of records because records are heavy. Right up there. The first one is actually, I think the first record is a Honky Chateau is what I have over there. It was a great record.
Honky Chateau. That's an Elton John record?
That is Elton John. Yeah, that's 1972.
You know what's funny is as soon as you mentioned Elton John, I just watched The Rocket Man, and I thought it was a fantastic.
Wasn't it great?
Fantastic movie.
I had to go with some of my most favorite people in the world, and we all went together to see it, and I thought it was really great. I was like, I really want to go see this with me. And when I tell you, like, some of my closest friends, I got to see it with them. And then it started off, and then I was like, oh, I didn't know it was going to be all this. And then I was kind of nervous because I loved him so much, and I really wanted it to be good. And it was a fabulous movie. Yeah. And I loved how when we left, they were like, that was so good. I didn't even know anything about that. That was great. And that was awesome to share. It really is a great movie. Yeah, I enjoyed it immensely.
That the star got from Elton John was, don't be me, be your version of me. And that was the best direction ever. He didn't have to worry about being spot on Elton John, which is nearly impossible. Yeah. And me.
You know what? He actually does he reads, like Karen reads almost, it's like 95% of the Me book, which I have as well. The biography, that Elton John biography, the one he just put out, in October and November is when it came out. And it's Taron Egerton that reads it if you buy it on Audible, which is one of my most favorite things is Audible because I love books. And he reads it, but he does everybody's voice. I mean, he does Bertie Taupin, and I was like, he sounds like Bertie Taupin. And he goes, he does David. I was like, he sounds like David. It's just so. He does John Reed. He does it all the way he reads it, and I was like, boy, he's really talented. This is great. And so the book is so enjoyable just to sit and read. Like, I'll drive in my car. I have two biographies that are just my go-to. One is, comedian that I just love immensely, and the other is Elton John. So
comedian by?
Oh, I really truly love Eddie Izzard.
Eddie Izzard.
He's got a He's got a great book. Believe me, a memoir. I love Death and Jazz Chickens, and I will not tell you how many times I have listened to it because you might look at me strange, but it's really fabulous and inspiring, and I really can. I could just put it in and just, God, that's good.
Oh, I'm a smidge older than you, but I had Bill Cosby records. Ugh, he ruined my
Yeah.
childhood. And George Carlin and Steve Martin. My three first 8 tracks were the Eagles' greatest hits, Stevie Wonder's Superstition, and the Wild and Crazy Guy by Steve Martin. So those were the first things that I was. Yeah, 1975. I was listening to these things growing up in the 70s. I'm born in '69, so 51 years old. But and I know you're a little bit younger than me, so I know that that yes, you would have that. But my favorites were Queen. So trying to emulate Queen growing up,
I love Queen.
Oh my goodness! But the diversity of the styles of music, and Elton John has that similar quality where he could sing any type of music.
Anything, yeah.
And he's transitioned through the years since he began up till recently. I guess what was the last thing that he sang, or what's the last album, if you can recall, that Elton John
Crazy Nights, I believe that was it, and I got that for my birthday last year, which was right around this time, from my kids. And so I only have it on the album. I just have the album, but it's really fabulous. But I like the albums that he put out. I love Peachtree Road. That was in the early 2000s. That's such a good one. And the one that he did with Leon Russell, oh my God, it's so good. The Union, talk about a good album.
Yeah, I like Leon Russell anyway. His voice is so unique. And then to mix it with Elton John.
And to hear both of them together, is great.
Oh, yeah. So, oh, my goodness. So I'm learning so much from Emily Glazener. Thank you so much for being here and spouting out some of the views that you have on the world. Hey! For those that are listening to the audio only portion of the show, and I'll put this on as audio, but then I'll put the video up on YouTube, and they'll know exactly what happened. So for those that are listening on audio,
and then my phone dropped.
No, you gave away the surprise. I was going to tell them, go see the audio, and you'll find out what happened.
Sorry.
No, it's those little things, that kind of add a little flavor to the podcast. So, all right. So we're growing up. Once you get out of high school, you were still taking lessons, or did you go to any college?
No, I only took lessons for a year. So from 15 to 16. And then I took off he taught me everything. Kevin was pretty amazing. He could just hear things and I could come in. I can remember bringing in this song called Sugar on the Floor, which is actually Kiki D wrote it, but it's just the chords that are in it are just, man, they're so great. And it's like, this has a 7 on it. And I remember trying to play it and it's great. And because he taught me not to use the cable, but to teach me the actual chords, I'm learning piano chords on a guitar. So I could break down chords in a different kind of way. And then I could transpose them in my head really quickly and understand how to do that. So he was great for teaching me how to do that. But like I said, that was a year. Then I took off. By the time I was 17, I was playing in coffee shops and restaurants. And in my early 20s, I was playing in honky tonks, which are fun. And you could play there they're like, come on in and you'll play from 7 to 2. I was like, okay.
Yeah. I remember there was a B.B. King song. He said, the life of a musician, you go to work at 9 p.m. and then you get off work just about the time the sun's coming up.
The sun's coming up. Yeah. So I have quite a few friends that do that to this day. And I'll go and I'll visit and I'll hang out with them a little bit. But no, I like the way I've been doing things lately.
No, but you spent your 20s doing the work, putting in the time to perfect your craft. Now, your guitar teacher was surprised that you could sing. When did you start singing?
When I was a kid. I used to love to. My dad and my mom worked at a nursing home in Mississippi, and I would sing with my dad at home. And I can remember we would go up to the nursing home, and he had this little microphone and a box amplifier and his guitar, and we would sing things like oh my goodness, life's just a tire swing, that's Jimmy Buffett. would sing it his way, or Dream by the Everly Brothers, or I always really loved the Marty Robbins songs like Old Red. And I was 7, I was 7 years old and singing with my dad and thinking, wow, this was great. And I'm still, trying to get there, but like I've always enjoyed doing it.
No, it sounds like a great bonding time for you and dad. And that's a wonderful thing,
absolutely.
Singing, and you're getting a good musical education at the same time, just to boot. Wonderful. And so you did not go to college at all.
No, I did. I did go to college. I went to college and I learned how to cut hair like my mother. I did not. I learned it all, but it wasn't my forte, and I finished it, but I didn't get my state license because it just wasn't me. But I have all the schooling done, which is it's funny. People are like, why? And I'll say, because there are some people who can do it and some people can't. I can tell you how to cut hair and dye hair. I can't do it. The people who do it, I mean, it's absolutely art, and it's science and math.
Do you cut your kids' hair?
For sure.
Do you cut your kids' hair?
No, I am so fortunate that my mother cuts their hair.
Oh, well, that is fantastic.
Yeah, and mine too. But I had no idea that this was going to be where you'd see me. So I was like, I would have put more makeup on and all kinds of other stuff. But yeah, she cut my hair too. I was really happy because when everybody else couldn't get their hair cut in COVID, I was so glad that I could.
No, I like this a lot. And let me tell you, the lighting is not perfect in your room, so it's very soft. You're kind of darkened a little bit. So me, I got this big bright light on me, so you can see.
So I can look mysterious.
Yeah, so you see the full ugly punum right here. It's in your face. I'm mostly an audio guy. I've been radio since 1986, and I just old man trying to learn new technology. I'm putting the broadcast software out and putting, your picture will be on one side, your video will be on one side with your name underneath, just like you're watching a news talk show. So you'll see when the video comes out tomorrow in the morning, you'll go, oh, look at that. It does look kind of like a news talk show, like CNN or Fox or something. It is.
I'll be going, what can I see in my room?
Yeah.
Say it's clean.
I can definitely see. I see some awards back there. See your bicycle, some hats, some scarves.
Yeah. Well, I've got my favorite. It's like, I'm pointing at it. It says, make humanity great again. I was so excited to get that hat.
What does that mean? It's the blue one. What does that mean to you?
Oh, that's because I told you before that I really just love it, Eddie Izzard. That's when he ran this year in February, and every day in February he ran a marathon in a European country, a marathon. And so he was like, I retweeted. I got up in the morning, like at 4:00 in the morning, and be like, ding, I got a ding. He's doing something. I got to retweet it. I told everybody about it. I tried to help raise money the best way I could because I think Eddie's an amazing person. But I got that hat, and I got my kids a hat. So yeah, the kids have to share their hat. That one's mine. They do it. I think it's such a great idea. Some people will look at it in a negative way, because it's kind of based on the other thing. But just the idea.
What other thing is it? I know Eddie Izzard is a very polarizing person. I love his comedy, and I love that he'll do it in drag just for no apparent reason. Hey, why is he in drag? I don't know. Well, he's more comfortable that way, it seems.
Nah, it's not drag. He's actually transgender. Okay. So that's how he is. So sometimes he'll. But besides that, I like it because it's the idea of, it takes humans to make humanity great again. So I give him thumbs up, and I just love it. So, and I love that it's sitting there. I love that I've got Elvis over there, and I think there's a pile of clothes over there, and I've got my pictures of the band and family over there. I just, that song, the Beach Boys song, In My Room. Yeah, I've always been that person. This is my sanctuary. I love it. You can't see it, but I have this beautiful picture of Marilyn Monroe right here. So,
well, your room is your sanctuary. Your well, I guess what I would have was a man cave, and what you would have is a woman cave.
It's really a mix of everything. Like having 3 boys, I have so many boy stuff here, because this is what they love. I've got the Simpsons. I've got every Disney guy, Marvel, anything you can ask, you've seen it. I've got Elton John stuff around. I've got just I really love. I've got Charlie Chaplin and Buddy Holly, and so I wouldn't say it's Supergirl, but like it's got touches of pink in here and there. Just
So
an
what
accent.
what is this room, Emily? Is this the playroom or is this
No, it's my room.
this is
It's
your
my room.
bedroom?
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah, I get to do that. I've actually, I'm a widow, so this is my sanctuary. And I don't say that to say, but I like to be able to say, okay, this is why I can do the things like I can do, because like it's mine, it is mine. It is something that is completely me.
well, I was going to come to where you are now, and you have the three boys. Obviously, you had somebody to help you make those three boys.
I did.
And you can talk about him now if you'd like. Your experience.
Oh, absolutely.
The love story of Emily Glazener.
It was an absolute love story. I loved him very, very much, and unfortunately, he succumbed to lung cancer, and we didn't find it until it was stage 4. So, but I have pictures of him around. The kids know about him. Our baby was 16 months when he passed. So my 7-year-old doesn't really know him, but we talk about it. I make sure the kids talk about it. My oldest son was his stepson, but they were very, very, very close. And he said to my oldest son, before he passed, the only way that my children would ever know what kind of dad he was what kind of brother he is. And he is a fabulous brother. He is really, really wonderful. And he took that to heart. So he's always still with us in that way.
Well, that's good. I'm glad that you keep him alive. See, just talking about him, he'll live forever and ever. And that's it. He lives in your heart. I love the smile that you have when you talk about him. It's very fun. So I can tell that you loved him very much. And, for me and probably for everybody who's ever been in contact with it, cancer sucks. Okay.
It is absolutely.
Cancer. Come on, scientists.
Such a terrible thing.
Find that cure for cancer already. People that know math and science.
Yeah. It's just the most horrible thing. It's horrible, and it affects every single person. There's not anybody who's never been affected by it, and the way that it affects them is awful. From a baby to your grandmother and grandfather, it never is okay. It is such a horrible thing, and the way it takes them it's painful, and that's what's so bad. As somebody who is giving care, you know that it's painful. So, and you can't help it.
Do you still have family that's helping you out? That's still around?
Oh yeah, my parents. And then I'm very, very close to his mother. It's like I tell everybody that I have 2 mothers, and I mean that in every sense of the way. My children go and they call her Honey, which is great because she's redheaded and wonderful, and they go see their Honey, which is their grandmother, his mom, and that was her only child. So I take on the role of being her child in every sense of the way. So I'll tell everybody, oh yeah, I got 2 moms, and I really do. 2 moms and 1 dad, but that's what I got. And we make sure holidays are done all together, because we get along really well. So all of our holidays are together. We go to the cemetery on his birthday, which is right around Father's Day, which is coming up pretty soon. And we just make sure that, he's gone, but we're all still together.
No, it sounds like you have a good family base, and I'm glad that Honey was able to pour all that love into you, Emily Glazener. It's good to have a Honey around in addition to your mom and dad.
Yeah,
as well.
I took her and the kids for lunch today. We had ramen. That was another one of my fabulous parts of the day. We had ramen, and my 7-year-old was like, "This is great," and then my 11-year-old was like, "This isn't out of the package." It's like it's not the same stuff.
Where did you have ramen?
It's better. See the price? That means it's better.
No, where did you have ramen? What restaurant? What restaurant?
It was in Clear Lake. I don't remember the name of it. That's so terrible. But it just said ramen on the side. It's like for the people who live in Clear Lake. It's right next to the Scout Bar. That's one of the really great places that we play in town. So yeah, right next to the Scout Bar. The one right next to the Scout Bar.
I'll put that on the What Makes You Famous walking tour. Go to Clear Lake, find the Scout Bar, look for the ramen place right next door to it.
To the left.
Just to the left. If you're looking this way, it's to the left.
You're looking this way, it's to the right. It's to the left.
That's fantastic.
That's how it works.
All right. So where did you start? All right. You didn't like the hair cutting business. And let me tell you, when I was in high school, I took an ASVAB test, and the top 2 things were photographer and beautician. I like to take a lot of pictures, and I do like to compliment people. So I guess I play on people's on their vanity. So I
Mhm.
do notice when people look good. Hey, let me take your picture. Bam, let me send you a copy of that. That was beautiful. And then my mom was a beautician when she was a kid, so she cut all my hair, and I guess I have COVID head right now, quarantine hair. I haven't been to my barber since March. But all right, so you didn't like the beauty salon aspect, the beautician thing, but you went on. And when did you start feeling like? Well, I know you were doing the coffee shop, playing by yourself. When did you start meeting up with other people and playing with them, or was Red Iris the first band?
Well, I played by myself, like in coffee shops and bars and restaurants for years and years and years. Even after I met my husband, he was so proud of me. He loved it. He used to have this shirt that says "My wife rocks." He wore it like all the kids. It was great. But after my husband passed away, I have some really great friends, and a few in particular, and they were in a band. They were in a I'm just trying to find the right word, cover band.
Okay.
And so the worst year of my life turned into be one of the best years in the sense that the way I dealt with that loss is I would go and see this band play. And the lead singer, who again is a very good friend, he would get me up on stage. He'd be like, all right, play. You sing, And I'm like, oh, I've never sang with a band. I got up there and it was an addiction from night one. I was like, it's great. And so every time I would come in, he would be like, get up here and sing. And I would get up there and sing. And I loved it and loved it. And that the actual drummer from that band is the drummer, in Red Iris. So that's where, because I could get up and sing and he knew I could sing, that's where I had met.
So what kind of
the drummer from Red Iris.
What kind of event was this that he's having you jump up, and what kind of songs were you covering?
They're just bars around town, that you play in all different kinds of places, and since I knew the friend and I knew that they would be playing, I would go with other friends and we would go as a group and go watch them. And that's like a 4-hour gig. If you get there at a certain time, you're not leaving till 2, you're up there, they're playing every kind of rock. And if anybody who's listening is a cover a singer, they all know that we have standards that we this one, we all know them. And so I got to where I would learn the standards and know how to do it. And so right now somebody can call me up and say, hey Emily, can you fill in? And I love doing that because that's a lot of fun, because you get up there and you get to sing with bands you've never done before, so it's a little bit scary but it's a little bit fun. And and that's how I cut my teeth. I cut my teeth with that band, and with those people in particular getting me up there to go and play rock and roll. And it's just that I love that, to go play rock and roll. It brought that sorrow that I had and to a different place where I learned something new and brought so much joy, and it made me a completely different person.
And that's where
I learned how to play with the band.
Doing covers. A lot of songwriters, creators, singer songwriters. Some of the ones that I've talked to, feel like it might be beneath them to do covers, but you could be a working musician. You can work every weekend at a party, at a bar, at a wedding, at any a corporate event, being in a cover band. But there's some that I'll only sing my own songs. I'll only play my own songs, and that limits you.
Well, then you're right. It does limit you. And then some people may say that once they get into a point, like I know certain musicians who may be like that, but that's because they spent 30 years playing other people's songs and now they want to play their own. And I have total respect for that. I just love music as a whole. So I do love singing and playing my own music, but it is so much fun to play somebody else's music. And I never do it like them anyway. So I give it that Emily spin as it is. There are a few songs that I love to sing, and I'm like, oh, please ask me to sing this one because it's going to be so much fun. And I
give it up. What song? That way people will ask.
I love. My husband used to really, until the day he died, he loved Kings of Leon. So, "Sex on Fire" is such a great song, and the way that I do it completely different than anybody else. And I love that one. I love the Killers' "Mr. Brightside."
Why
I love the
wouldn't you?
way my friend used to sing it, and so I can no longer sing it the way it is on the radio. I sing it like him every time, and people who know him are like, "You're doing it like him." I was like, "I know, I can't help it. It just happens. It's just that." And everybody plays "Sweet Child," but not they don't sing it the way I do it. So I
Well,
enjoyed the mess out of that.
well, that's just it. You make it your own, and on a
Yes.
smaller scale. And this might be a bad word to a genuine musician. I do karaoke shows, and I get
Oh,
to
I love
hear
that.
people sing songs in their own way, even though the karaoke track is very similar to what the original song is. They will go around the harmonies in their own way, so it becomes their own. So I'm very
Yeah.
familiar with you making the song your own, and I do appreciate a good cover band. But then you graduate from that. When did you start finding out that you can? Are you writing your own songs
I,
or?
we come together as a unit, and all five of us come together. We all, almost always write while we're in practice. That way, it's all of us doing it, and that's really wonderful. And I wrote before then. When I was a younger kid, I can write. I do enjoy and it is a little bit different because I can sit down and I can write a song and I think it's great and wonderful and this is really good, catchy song. But it's harder actually to write with other people because you have to be able to say, okay, well, yeah, maybe that melody is a little bit better, or maybe that idea of this. And normally, most of the Red Iris songs are my lyrics and my melody, but I love the idea of saying, "Hey Em, what about you repeat that word?" Or "Hey Em, why don't you try to go higher than lower?" Or "Let's try a different melody and see if we can work it in." And sometimes I hate it because I'm like, "Oh, that's so much harder than you think it is." But then they push me to do it, and that's really wonderful. But it is absolutely a different animal writing with other people.
Well, I mean, what is the songwriting? Is it writing the poem and then putting it to music, or thinking about the
No,
music and then
with
putting lyrics on it?
So whenever I write, I'm starting with the music first, and then the words come flowing. And even when the band writes together, it's the exact same thing. A lot of times we'll start off with a riff, and like there's this song "Moonlight." It's actually a lot of people really like it, and we wrote it years ago. And the lyrics just came to me, but the guitar player Zeke, who is really a great guitar player, and I'm just saying that because he's in my band. Like he's really a great guitar player because he comes up with these amazing riffs, and you're like, ooh. And if you played Moonlight and you hear the riff in the beginning, I can remember hearing that in practice, and then I walked across over to the microphone and I started singing the first lines, and how I felt started coming out. And the lyrics, if you hear it, it's a song about the last conversation I had with my husband before he went into hospice. And it was, I'm going to carry on and I'm going to be standing here and I want to, I want to run away, but I can't do that. I've got to do this for you and for me and the kids. And what I'm saying means that. It's a little bit of an enigma, but it absolutely means that, it's, I hear you in my head still, I'm standing in your moonlight. You're on the other side, but I'm here, and that's the idea of it. And just from that beginning of the guitar, it snapped something in me, and all those things started coming out. And then that was a great release for me because I was able to write how I feel. Because for a while I was very stoic about it. Having young children, you can't sit around and cry. I mean, you can, but it's just not me. And for people who do that, fine. I just can't. I'm not very good at it.
No, because they're always going to be asking, "Why is mommy sad?" And I can see
Right.
that Moonlight is a very personal song for you. I was listening to it on your YouTube page. There's three different versions of it on
Yeah.
your YouTube, and they sound, you put a little bit of a different inflection on each one.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, I can tell that it's a very personal song, and it came out of you. And I'm very jealous of someone who has these feelings and doesn't have to keep them bottled up. You can actually put them out there to the world. I mean, do you write on paper or the
I
lyrics?
did for that one. I wrote on paper, and it's particularly enough. I'm being so bottled up. When I first wrote it, I wrote it in such a way that only really I knew what I was saying, and a lot of the song was exactly the way you hear it now. But I brought it to a friend, and he listened to it, and he said, "Well, what are you saying?" And I told him, I said, "This is what about." He goes, "Well, write that. Have the guts to write that." And I did, and it changed it, and it changed the way it gave me this release. I was like, okay, I can actually say this, that, I will hold on. I will stand here in your moonlight, and it was pretty great to get that, I guess, permission to feel, because like I said, I can be kind of stoic sometimes, because you don't want to be sad, and you want to be happy for your kids, and you want to teach them that, I truly do miss my husband, but I actually really love my life. I'm very happy in it.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you had a friend to help you bring this out, to bring this to light. It's good to have a good producer, and you can give credit where credit is due. Whenever you say this friend or this man or this woman, I always want to hear a name, because I like to give people credit as we go through this podcast, this conversation. I mean, unless you don't want to give them credit.
No. And I can say it because the band's going to be like, I can't believe you did that. But no, my sorry, that's the car. No, my friend, when I worked, and it's the same friend who got me up on the stage and everything. His name is Gene Velasquez, and he's a musician and singer here in Houston. But we worked side by side for quite a few years, like 6 years, and kind of take me under his wing and teach me the stuff that he knew. And I love that. We still have a really good friendship, and he will listen to something and he'll be totally straight up with me, which I like, but he knows exactly how to tell me not to shut, because I could go, oh, well, I'm not listening to anything you say, but actually he knows how to say, no, listen to this. And this is what I'm trying to say. And he did, he said, write that. Say, I don't know. I didn't know that. Write that. And I changed probably 3 or 4 lines, and that was it. And you absolutely can tell now that I told you that that's what it's about. You can definitely get it from there.
Well,
so there you go.
No, it's good to have people that help you on your way. These are the people that you're giving, little credits, that they give you those breadcrumbs that helped you get the path of where you are now. And that's making you the Emily Glazener that you are right now. And so, all right. So
yes.
Since 2016, you've been with Red Iris. You got together with these fellas, and you're the flower, you're the iris.
I am
2017, you said, you know what, we're good enough. Let's get out there and do some shows. Or did you start with open mics, or did you actually book?
No, actually, the greatest thing, our very first show was at a friend's house, and then we're a bunch of musicians, so all of our friends are musicians. Our friends are people who know musicians, and Melissa and Rick, they're friends, and they're wonderful people. And we had our first show was there. We got shut down in 4 songs because we were too loud. But we were good, but it was great. We were too loud. Yeah, it was. We got I think it was 3.5 songs in. I was in the middle of the 4th song, and we got shut down. I'm smiling because it's such a cool thing to say, And the cop was like, it sounds good, but I got to shut you down. Well, and what was funny is we had gone to the people in front of the house to say, hey, we're having this party. We went to the side, but we forgot to go to the people behind the house to say, hey, we're having this party. We don't know if it was them, but we pretty much think it was them.
Well, I mean, my recommendation is, you can call the cops first and tell them to bring beer. That's how you keep the party going.
Texas thing, right?
But no, I've had plenty of outdoor parties, and I'm guessing it was in the backyard or something like that.
It was the backyard, the pool, always great parties there. But it was in November, so that we weren't getting in the pool. Nope. I can remember, and the setup was so great. I think you could probably actually find it. If one of the videos you're talking about, if it looks like you're outside and you see a wooden fence in the background, that's the one. And
well, I got the Red Iris Moonlight full live video at White Oak.
Yeah, that was so much fun.
Yeah, there's only a few videos out there, maybe 7 that I can count on the Red Iris Music YouTube. Those are the ones that I listen to kind of in preparation of this. Usually, I don't prepare all that much, but I wanted to know a little bit about the music and your style, and it's very sultry. You got a very good voice. I mean,
well, thank you.
I know that's subjective, but people have to go out there and just take a listen to the videos and really just find you. But you do have a very nice voice, and it did help me get through my day today as I was doing the things I did. Yes. So you inspired me, and I'm very happy to
Thank
be
you.
talking to you. But as we're close to right now. You started playing gigs. You got shut down after three and a half, four songs.
It
The
was the first
backyard,
year. That was the first gig. Yeah.
the first gig. But that didn't stop you. Yeah, you started.
No.
You kept going from there. I mean, did you start going to bars, or were you doing
Well, actually, we played
festivals?
some really cool places in town, and since we've all done this, and a couple of us still do cover shows on the side too. Um, we normally we play at places like Warehouse Live. We played House of Blues, which was so much fun. We played the White Oak, as you know, quite a few times. But normally, it's a place where it's a stage. Sometimes it's a bar, of course. We've got the Pub Galleria is a place we often play, which has got a great stage, and it's just I mean, whenever you do Red Iris, when we do Red Iris, so we're doing original music, we're up there 45 minutes to an hour and 15. So it's not necessarily like doing a big show. And we do it with other people and other bands, which is great because then you can get off and you can watch the other band and have a beer and really enjoy it and have a conversation. If you're doing something where you're up there for 4 hours, you enjoy it, but you don't get to converse with everybody. And, you know,
Oh yeah, it's good to be part of a festival. Whenever I'm doing the DJ shows, it's continuous music. I'm stuck behind that those turntables, for 4 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours. I say stuck. I enjoy what I do for sure, but it'd be nice to be able to step out from behind there. Back in when I was in Miami, oh, I'm going to be that guy. Back in Miami when I was a kid, we had 4 and 5 DJs that would do different sets throughout the night so we could step away from our turntables and go and have some fun. But that was, that's how I was set up in my 20s. Now I'm the soul guy. I'm the mobile DJ. I have to be the lighting guy, the speaker guy. I'm my own roadie, and it's hard. The worst part is the setup and the tear down. I don't know how your setup is. Do you have roadies
yeah.
that
No,
help
we
you
don't have
set up,
roadies,
or do you
and
guys
I
set up
am
your
a
own stuff?
different lead singer. I won't talk about anybody else, but I am like I try to help, try not to. I have a
I got
couple of
my
friends who are like, "No, you
microphone.
sit down and you do your thing and let them do it." I just can't. I know it's not cool to help because it doesn't have that look, but I do. Or sometimes I'll say, what do you want me to grab? And they're like, "Oh no, you're good." I was like, "Yeah, but what do you want me to grab?" Or they're like, "You don't know what you're doing. Don't pick up anything." At least I offered. I
Well,
have
people
played with a
offer all
couple
the
of.
time. Hey, you need me to help you set up? Really? Do you know how to set up my equipment? Really?
Mm-mm.
That random bar patron? Do you know what I've been looking for a roadie since '86. Nobody knows how to
Because they
set up
don't
my
know.
equipment.
Well,
Yeah.
a lot of times, like I'll, especially the keyboard player and the drummer, you got more stuff there. So after they packed it up, I will absolutely carry it out, but I don't want to touch it. I don't want to touch it, because you're like, I know you're doing your count thing and how many things that you have, and oh no, I don't want to touch it,
Right.
But just tell me when, and I'm happy to take them out
Oh yeah, you
and to
got
bring them
10
in.
sets of cables you're counting on the way in. Oh, those 10 sets of
Mm-hmm.
cables that you have to put in there. That amount of equipment. So yes, let every individual person set up their own equipment unless they have a helper of some kind, of a
Which
roadie,
is
if you
funny
will.
because I've got nothing. Like sometimes I have a microphone stand, but normally I've got nothing. So then I can't be that person. I always have to help because it's that little, it's that golden rule thing. So it's in my head. It's in my head. But yeah, nothing.
I miss being that guy sometimes, the club DJ, where all I had to do was bring my, later in life, because it used to be a crate of records. I would bring in a couple of crates of records, and that was all I had to bring back in the '80s. But since then, now all you have to do is bring a drive or a phone, or just something to plug in that has your music on it, and away you go. And so, being a club DJ is very minimal equipment, because usually they have their turntables all set up already. And I guess going into a club for you, you can always plug into their system. Is that what usually happens, or do you always have to drag in your own stuff?
It just depends. It depends on wherever we're playing. Like so, when we play White Oak, we bring in our stuff, but we plug into theirs. Same thing with House of Blues and Warehouse and places like that. They have their own places, and some of the smaller places do the same. And then if you don't, then you've got to hire a sound person, which we're lucky because we have an amazing guitarist who already has that stuff because like he knows exactly what he's doing. But we definitely help, bring that stuff in because we have all our stuff. But then when you've got all our stuff and then the sound stuff, if you don't help, then that's just being a schmuck.
Well, he knows he's the most important part of the band because he's got the PA
because
system.
he's got the sound and everything. So whenever we do something, then for sure.
He's not getting kicked out.
No, you know what? For being 5 people and being pretty different of 5 people, we do gel really well together.
Yeah,
like right
I
now,
had that in my head. You guys gel really well. I mean, go ahead, continue.
Well, we're in the middle of, because of COVID, and stopped a lot of things, but now we're getting out a little bit and able to go a few places. And one of the places is trying to finish, our music. And we've got one song almost completely done. We just need to, I believe it's just the mastering, because we have Brock Wilson. He is like the built-in, we love that. He's been mixing, and then we have the whole thing where we all listen to it. We all have that kind of say, oh, I like this, I don't like this. And, we really do that pretty well, being really honest and saying this. And sometimes, you don't want to hear it, but if everybody's saying is like, listen, this is what I think. That's kind of great. But right now we have one completely ready to go and 3 others in the queue. And that's exciting. But that's something we gel together, and we all have a different idea. Like, I love the way that our drummer JJ will say, "I was listening to this, and I think this would sound really great here. I like, why don't you try doing this and this and that?" And I enjoy that because that's that influence that I wouldn't have listened to that band, but he could bring that in and say, "Try this. This is a really great sound." The bass player, OG Oscar, he does the same thing. And they're just different kinds of sounds that if you have 5 people, we're going to get such an amazing sound out of that. And we just seem to gel. We don't really fight and argue and do that kind of thing, because we're all seasoned musicians. We've done it before. It's just something different.
So that first song that you put together as Red Iris was Moonlight.
Mm-hmm. The first song we put together as Red Iris wasn't Moonlight. It would have been this song called Because of You. And we play it live, and it's a really, really good song. We have people going, are you going to record that one? I was like, wait, that's going to be different to record. But yeah, we eventually will. But Because of You if you can find it on YouTube, it's a really cool track. But that was the very first one.
I definitely don't see that one on the Red Iris music page.
I know, because like we had so many other you'd have to find it at other places, and I don't actually know how to take it out of. If somebody came and they videotaped this, then you have video. Oh my God, I said video. They recorded us.
Gee, Grandma, what's videotape?
Yeah, I know, right? Then you have to get their permission to get that YouTube. So we still have to pull from other people's YouTube, but that is what we will do in the future. But I think you can find it. I know somebody said we got to get it all together, and we're working on that. But if you can find Because of You was a really, really cool it's a cool track. But that's the very first one that we did all together. And then after that, they kind of we were doing all at the same time.
Well, let's talk about that. Let's get how do people connect with you? I know I've taken a lot of your time away from your boys. No,
I'm good.
But how do people connect with you? This way we can get that out of the way, social wise, or do you have a Red Iris music web page?
Well, we've got Reverb Nation. So we've got, I took notes. Can't believe it. They're going to be so proud of me.
Yes, you're more prepared than I am. Thank you.
I'm a little bit prepared, I guess. With Reverb Nation, we have redirismusic.com. And you can find all different kinds of things, our pictures, what we're all about, what we sound like, that sort of thing. And Twitter, we have red_iris_music, the @ before that. But definitely the one with the underscores, red_iris_music. Instagram is Red Iris Music, and Facebook, just Red Iris.
Fantastic.
And you'll see this face.
Yes. And I see the faces of all the other boys. The good-looking dudes. It's a good-looking group there.
Yeah, we do have a really pretty band.
Rock indie out of Houston, Texas. I guess that's the nearest.
I love that southern look. Like if you ever see a Red Iris show, I wear Chucks everywhere, but not in a Red Iris show. In the Red Iris show, I wear cowboy boots, and that's my Southern rock. That's my thing.
That's so
And
funny.
I really enjoy
Growing
that.
up, Chucks was the only shoes that I wanted, but they were so uncomfortable. Such a flat-footed shoe back in the
I love
80s.
Chucks.
And I would beg my mom, come on, they're just $11. Please, Mom, I need some Converse. And I ended up wearing pink ones to my prom. And so, yeah,
That's awesome.
I had Chucks growing up, but they were so uncomfortable. But from what I understand, my 14-year-old daughter says they're a little bit better now. They have a little more cushion to them.
They do.
So good.
And they do have some more cushion to them. And like I said, I do. I enjoy my Chucks. I have several different pair, but and sometimes I'll wear them to the show. But I know before I go on, I get looks from other people. I'm going to put those boots on, and then they almost, not that I have a character, but it just puts you in this great mood. All right, this is the business. This is what I'm going to do, and I like to stomp. Like if you do catch some of it, I'll send you if I find some, just so you can see what I'm talking about. I'll send you a couple of clips from other YouTube for other different places, and I'll stomp. Like because of you, there's a part where I stomp through it, and so like the boot becomes an instrument in that sense.
Oh, you are so right about having the uniform. If you look at my Instagram, you'll see it's all me in bow ties. A lot of times it's bow ties with suspenders, bow ties with a vest on. I've gone to weddings, and whenever I DJ at weddings, I always ask, hey, how do you want the DJ dressed? Anywhere from tuxedo down to, whatever you want. And every time they say, oh, just wear shorts and a t-shirt. Now, this is your wedding and I'm your entertainer. I have to put myself in a mood as well to perform for you. So yes, I put that bow tie on. I put those suspenders on, put that vest on. You feel it. I'm sure you feel it when you put your hat on.
I do. Yeah. You say you notice that I wear a hat at times.
Oh yeah.
I like the little cabbie hats, or like the fedora or the cowboy hat. I do. It's just okay. I'm in that spot, And but the boots are really great. I need to get my favorite pair resold, and they're so great. They're a black and red pair, and so the last thing my grandfather ever bought for me. So I love them. And the guys. So some of my friends in other bands, I can remember I put them on. I think it's the drummer. He said he really liked the boots. They're black and red, and they're like, oh, that's Motley Crue, that's rock and roll, And I was like, yeah, that's great. And after that, I wore them all the time. Matter of fact, my drummer actually calls me Boots. He doesn't necessarily call me Emily. And I know he's like, yo, Boots, blah, 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 blah. And I will absolutely answer, because who doesn't want a nickname? He's the other one that calls me that. But it is kind of cool.
No, that is kind of cool. I'd say Boots. That's a great nickname. But and you mentioned that you have somebody that's resoling your shoes. That's a dying art right there.
There's a great place here in town. So shout
out if you know the name of it. Do it.
I don't know the name of it.
Oh my goodness! We got to give credit where credit is due. I know.
Sorry.
No, and I like to support the local bootmaker for sure. Anywhere, if you're in the Clear Lake, Texas area, find Emily Glazener and ask her where that bootmaker is. Because these are things that we need to protect. We can go into a little bit, because what else would you do with that shoe once it wears down? You would throw it away. And then you being a person,
I could never get rid of that pair of boots. And I have bought them there. I have them. They need to be brought there. But I don't even like not having them in my closet. They're the last thing my grandfather ever gave to me. So, but I've worn them so much, like literally the sole has come apart from the leather. But every time I see them, I think all kinds of different things. Well, that's Red Iris. That's where I got my nickname, and that was my grandfather. So.
Oh, that's fantastic. See, and it all comes around. It's all personal, and it's all family oriented. Your family means so much to you. I can tell, and and your friends. You make these friendships that are long lasting. The people from high school you still associate with. That's, I've learned a lot about you, Emily Glazener, and my listeners have as well, and I appreciate that so much. But as we're winding down a little bit, I want to bring it to current events. We're playing in bars and clubs until at least March, I'm guessing. And I know that we're opening back up. I've been 3 weeks now. I've been able to do a public show on Friday nights at a local club called The Rab in Conway, Arkansas. So put that on the walking tour.
Conway, Arkansas, absolutely.
The RAB is
The
it's
RAB.
it's bar spelled
Okay.
backwards. It's the only way.
That's great.
Yeah, it's the only way they
RAB.
can get away with it because it's a dry county. So when you're driving by, you look at it in your rearview mirror and it says, "Oh, it says bar. Look at that."
That's perfect. I wrote it down
So all right,
just now.
So we're on the so I'm glad that things are starting to open up. I'm aware that there's this disease out there that has no cure, the novel COVID-19 coronavirus. But I mean, there's other current events that have happened. And as like I said, as we're winding down, I have taken quite a bit of your time, Emily Glazener. But I want to hear your views on what's going on in the world right now as we come to the end.
Oh, I was absolutely horrified and moved, and what happened most recently, just awful. I have family members who are police officers, and I know that there are good people and there are bad people in the world, but absolutely, to me, and like I said, this is my beliefs and not the band's, but absolutely, Black Lives Matter. And I understand where they're coming from in the sense of course, when somebody looks at me and says in my face, well, every life matters. We already know that every life matters. The point is that it doesn't seem as though theirs does. And I have very good friends. One in particular, a friend of mine, his name is Bradley Jackson, and he and I have been friends since we were children. And he wrote something so eloquently on his Instagram, and he said he didn't want to have a fight with anybody, just like, let's just have a conversation. And absolutely, everything should be a conversation. Your communication is so important. I understand what the hurt and the pain is, and I don't. When people want to give excuses, there is absolutely not one excuse.
No.
So that's
it's
where
not
I
like it
stand
hasn't
and how I
happened
feel.
before. This absolutely has happened before, and then we talk about it, we mourn about it, and then we forget about it. It's gone.
Yeah.
But and just because you say Black Lives Matter doesn't mean that all lives don't matter. It's like if you're saving the rainforest, it doesn't mean that the other forests don't matter. It's just that that's the one that's having trouble right now. That forest, those lives are having
and has
that problem.
For years upon years upon years upon years.
Yeah.
And so I'm not normally a real political person, but this is something that was just I can't not say anything.
Oh, absolutely, man. I've talked about George Floyd, and you got to say his name.
George Floyd. Absolutely.
For sure. But
he should never be forgotten.
I hope
along with other people.
Do you feel that in history is this the change? Is this the one?
I absolutely do. I think this is something that there's no doubt of what happened. You can't turn away from it. You can't turn a blind eye to it. And with our world, with everything that is so connected, that's why it's so powerful, is because it wasn't a clip of something. Unfortunately, we saw it all. So, and I say unfortunately in the sense of, God, that's just an awful thing. I had conversations with my children about it. My children are 7 and 11. I teach my children, and it's great because they've taken this on. And I thought of it one day. I tell my boys, there are 3 of them, and you're the most important people in the world to me, but in no time should you be more important than any other children to the world. To me, you are the world, but to the world, you should be as important as every other child. And I know that they're growing up that way. I have conversations with them, and I know that my children are the generation of change, and I think that's wonderful.
Well, it's been said that they might be the next greatest generation because they're going through a lot of the times that people born in the 1900, in 1900, that 10-year span, they went through this flu pandemic. They went through wars. They went through trials and tribulations as well. A lot of civil rights, a lot of pushing for change. So this generation might be the next great generation that actually makes a change.
And when you say civil rights, it's actually it stands for everyone's civil right. That's not just ethnicity. That's also gender. I feel that way. I if you look on my Twitter, you'll see that I stand behind. I believe trans rights are human rights. People are human. I don't understand why it's any business of anyone how somebody identifies and or thinks of. I mean, that's not even the important thing. I mean, that's not what's important in life. I love, there's this great video, and you can find it on YouTube, and it's Eddie Izzard, and he's getting his nails done. And when he was doing the 27 marathons in 27 days for Nelson Mandela, see, I told you I was a big fan,
Amazing.
in 2016, and he goes and he gets his nails done. And one of the things that he says that's just so powerful is, it's what you do in your life that matters. It's not who you fancy, and I'm chopping it and killing it, but completely, or how you identify. But that's all, should all be boring. It's what you do. What do you bring to the world? And I think, wow. And so, like, I teach my children that. What do you bring to the world? So I think we live in a time where we could make such an amazing change if we just have conversations and understand why.
Yeah. You don't have to want to do those things. You don't have to even understand why those things happen, but
just respect and dignity.
Let it be. Let it happen.
Yes.
Live and let live. Love, peace, understanding, all that. We need unity. I know that it's not coming. You say you're not political, but you have to be political. You have to, be a part of the community.
I'm not somebody. Well, absolutely, because everybody really truly is. But I don't normally stand out like on a pulpit and say blah 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 blah. But if you ask me, I will tell you. Yeah. And as you have asked me, and I will tell you, because I think if we stay silent, then that person who really needed to hear that, hey, they had a friend, they would never know it. I like the idea of being an ally.
Sure. And I've said it before on this podcast, there's people on the far left and there's people on the far right, and those are the ones that are causing the problem. Come on down the middle with the rest of us. Take a little bit from column A and a little bit from column B, and let's have a meal right down the middle. We can have some conversations. We all want the same thing. Food on our plate, roof over our head, a little money in the pocket. We all want the same thing.
And respect and dignity. And I think that's what a lot of people are missing. Let's go back to the golden rule because it's so wonderful. If you want respect and dignity, you have to give it. Yes. You do. You can't just demand, oh, well, I should have it. Well, there's no reason you should have it. You have to give it.
Emily Glazener, we've taken some time, and I found I'm finding you to be a very thoughtful person, very caring person. If you have any other avenues that you want to explore, this is your time. If you have any other ideas that you want to throw out there, if not, we can wind this down.
I don't know. I mean, I've said all kinds of things already, haven't I?
All right. Well, we already know Emily Glazener. You're going to have a whole lot more followers, hopefully. Red Iris, go look for their stuff, of course.
I hope so. That'd be wonderful.
I usually finish these things out with last words for the people. Now, it could be just, something that the words to live by, somebody that you heard something from over your life that that's always been in my head for a long time. Or it just could be something that pops into your head at this particular moment in time. And I don't want this to be the last time that we talk. I do want us to get together again and possibly have Red Iris come on and chat with us and record them these moments in time as you progress in your careers. But Emily Glazener, last words for the people.
I would say I love the idea when you know better, do better. So we should all do better because now we know better.
Well, there you have it, party people. Emily Glazener, the Red Iris herself. Yeah, I know. The whole band is called Red Iris. It's her and a bunch of boys, okay? But she's the front person. She's the person that's leading out in the front, the people that they all come to see. Yeah, I know. It's a band. They all gel together. But they're there to see that pretty girl up front. You know it. And the boys in the back, they know it too. All right? They all have their own skills, their own talents, but she's the face. She's the singer. She's the person out front. Look, we have this flower for you. Take a look. Come see our band. Yes, I encourage you to look up Red Iris right now. I'll wait. Good. Look up Red Iris. Find them everywhere. Look up Emily Glazener. Find her everywhere. I put her links in the show notes so you can find her. Now, if you're just listening to the audio version of this, I did post up the video version. It'll be up there, and you could see her pretty face and see the room and what she was talking about. So there you go. Thank you so much, Emily Glazener, for being on the show, What Makes You Famous. I look forward to talking to you in the future as time progresses, as more and more comes out of Red Iris. And yes, the amazing thing that you can do where you can have feelings and then put them down on paper and play them out as a song and put it out into the world and make people feel a certain kind of way. It's a talent you have. It's what you do. Thank you for being out there. And if you'd like to tell your story, this time I'm switching over to you, the loyal listener, you who listens to What Makes You Famous. If you'd like to tell your story, I encourage you to give me a call at 501-470-6386 or email info@radiowhat.com. That's it for me. Skis Dan, radiowhat.com, DJLittleRock.com. Peace. I'm out of here.